Welcome to Deep Tricks. I'm Dan Shipton. This is our Wednesday edition of Deep Tricks, and today we are just going to be looking at one verse in Second Thessalonians chapter 3. We've been reading through Second Thessalonians 3 this week, and we've been talking about different things. We've talked about praying for one another. We've talked about the fact that we shouldn't be lazy. And in that talk about not being lazy, I guess I'll read a couple of verses. He says down in verse 11, we're going to be really focusing on 13, but let's look at verse 11 as well. In verse 11, he says, "We hear that some among you are idle. They are not busy, but they are busybodies. Such people we command and urge in the Lord to settle down and earn the bread they eat. As for you, brothers, you never tire of doing what is good." I want to focus on verse 13. We talked when we were going through some of the verses a few weeks back in First Thessalonians about the fact that he commended them, and he said that they were doing a good job and that they were helping other churches, and other churches were even saying a good job, the good jobs that they were doing. And I think sometimes we need to be reminded to keep doing the good that we have. We all are called into the mission of Christ. It's not just pastors or teachers or people who are doing these kinds of things. It's every single believer. We're called to minister. And unlike other jobs, when it comes to being idle or lazy, if you will, yeah, we all need breaks, we all need Sabbaths, but it refreshes us so we can keep doing for the Lord. And the truth of the matter is, we really don't retire from our mission and our work from God. We continue on until we walk into glory. And, one of the greatest examples of this is my wife's great grandmother. When she was alive, she was about 70. She was in her 70s, I think around close to 75. And it was back in the late 90s, early 2000, sometime in there, I want to say. The internet was just starting out anyway. And at her church, she went to the pastor and said, "How can I serve?" Now, as a pastor myself, I understand this. When you get somebody who's in their 70s, they slow down, they don't want to do as much. But then you get some who just say, "I want to serve. I want to do what you can, give me to do." And eventually he's like, they found a ministry. She found her ministry, and that was to work with the missions part of their church. Now, she didn't organize missions or anything, but she started staying in contact with missionaries, and she would contact them and she would respond, send letters and encouragement. And soon she was on the internet. She learned how to use the internet in her 70s when she had no experience with a computer or anything, just so she could communicate with missionaries around the world. And it was a ministry for her for many years. And even when she got older, my wife loves to tell the story about when she was getting older and when she passed away. She was in a nursing home, but every day she would walk the halls, she would talk to people, she would, try to bring a smile to their face, she would try to pray for them. And even on her last day, her last hours, she told the nurse she wasn't feeling well, and she was walking down the hall in the evening. And the nurse said, "Well, you go back to your room. I'll go get, some equipment. I'll go get stethoscope and stuff, and we'll check and see your blood pressure and see how you're doing." And she said, "I'll be right down." And she went and prayed with one of her friends. And then she went to her room. And by the time the nurse got there, she'd passed away. And, what a great story. What a great truth of serving right to the end. And that's really what Paul is encouraging them to do here. He's saying, you guys really need to stay on track. You need to continue to grow and you need to continue to minister to others. Do the good that you've been doing and keep doing it. So you can do this and I can do this. Whatever good we know we should be doing, we should continue to do. And we do that until Jesus comes or he calls us home. And I don't know what your ministry is. I don't know how God's blessing you today, but you can take those blessings and you can be the river that God flows through out into the world that you live in, out into your community, out into your family, out into your neighborhood, into your work. And you can be the light of the world that we're all called to be. And I hope that you can learn to do that. So today, my challenge to you is if you don't know what your mission is, ask God seriously and spend some time listening to the Holy Spirit. He can guide you. Maybe it's helping other people in ways you never thought of before. Maybe it's going to shelters and helping out. Maybe it's helping other departments and other places that need help. Maybe you're an organizer, an administrator, and somebody needs some help administrating. I don't know what it is because every one of us have different gifting. But that's the neat thing about gifts. We use them for the Lord. And so I hope that you always, and that's one of the reasons I always end saying, I hope that you take the grace or the blessings of God and that you can use them in your life and you will bless others, because I think that's part of what all of us are called to do. So today, as we end, I do hope and I pray that you'll spend some time and that you'll take every blessing that God gives you, that you will use it, multiply it, and let it flow through you out into the world as you trek this life.
That's today's Devo on Deep Treks. No matter how deep the questions or dark the doubts, there's always a path forward. Reach out at deeptreks.com with prayer needs or topics you'd like us to